Ladies and gentlemen, it is your host, Henri Norman from Academy of Hope Podcast. And yes, I'm wearing my brother's shirt, Genius Network, the #1 mastermind group in the world. But we're cutting to the chase. We have a phenomenal, she's not even a guest, she's a host. Because I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let her share whatever she wants to share. This is the first podcast I'm not asking any questions. The population who watches this, our brothers and sisters behind the wall, whatever you have time to share, because I know you're on the clock.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I'm president of our local NAACP down here. I'm also a psychology expert and life coach in private practice. I'm the psychology expert and life coach for MTV, Teen Mom Family Reunion. You know, I kind of would rather you ask questions because I feel like you know the population better, and I want to be able to be of service. I don't like to give people my bias projection. I like to be able to provide information that you know the audience may want, within my capacity, of course.
This audience are brothers and sisters who are currently locked up from 1 day to life sentences, death row to solitary, minimum camps to maximum security. And they're stuck behind the misnomers of what they can't do and who they can't be around. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things that you said couldn't understand is that you might have been joking, like, yo, I'm waiting on my husband.
Yeah.
There's about 1.8 million men watching this podcast.
Yeah.
She's looking for a husband, and y'all locked up. Y'all playing.
That wasn't a question. that was more of a statement. So, you know, he was trying to sell me off, but that's okay.
No, you was like, you were coming down the stairs like my husband's gonna be at the bottom of the steps with a ring.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm in wait season.
Boom. So stop right there. This is where this is so perfect. I said that and you caught that. Wait season. Let's talk about wait season. Was at a Juneteenth event that my organization put together or put on a couple of days ago, and there was a gentleman there who served 35 years in prison, had just got out, I think 2 years prior to the Juneteenth event, and he was talking about the time spent in there, you know, and that he's out and he's trying to acclimate and trying to get himself together and still process the fact that 35 years in his perspective had been, you know, lost because he was in there and not free and not able to create a family and have a career and do these things. And I remember saying to him, and something I want to say to y'all as well, is that, you know, God hides people for a reason. And when I say hiding could be anything from prison time like you guys to a health condition like many other people to depression, which is very dark, right? Similar to, I'm sure, many prison days that are very dark. Health conditions that could be very dark and many other things. But those conditions are the fruits of the root of God hiding you. Why does he hide you? Because oftentimes in hiding, there's isolation that breeds solitude. And through that, we find a sense of self. And through sense of self, we find authenticity, we find who we are. And people are always looking for their purpose. And I say, you got to find yourself and there's your purpose. That's how the journey goes. And so I have a thing I call Moses' journey. I say God takes many of us on our Moses journey. Why? Because in the Bible it talks about how God takes Moses on this journey, and the people keep asking him, why are we going all the way over here, this long way, when we can just cut right through this way? And God answers in the Bible, and he says, well, I took Moses on a longer journey because I knew that journey would put him through experiences that would have him build character for that at which I had for him, meaning your purpose. And so although I could only imagine, so I don't want to act like I know what it feels like to be in prison, because I don't, but I could only imagine from the dark days I've experienced, you know, out here in freedom, which means only dark within my mind. And I know I was hidden for a reason, and I built so much character in that. And I built so much muscle in that. And I always say that we have prayers and acts of God that are, and examples are us bench pressing 450 pounds could be our ask and our prayer, but we're only able to handle 250 pounds. And so when God says, listen, you can only handle 250, but you're asking for 475, that means he has to put you through your Moses journey so he could build character and muscle in you to handle that at which you ask for. And another thing is, you know, I always tell folks when they get all impressed with my accolades and me being a doctor and all these titles and these things, I always say, you know, I'm more like the people in the Bible, meaning the Bible was written by prisoners and thieves and prostitutes. And what I say that is not to condone or to shine a light on folks who have made bad decisions. No, it's to shine a light on that I'm more like the people who make mistakes. I'm more like the people who have gone through the journey and made a wrong turn just for God to say, baby girl, you're going the wrong way. And the way he says you're going the wrong way was by me experiencing something called a consequence. And my consequence may not look like 5, 15, 20, or lifetime in jail, but my consequences were something other than that, but they still were consequence for me. And that's what got me to understand, wait a minute, I'm a lot more like the folks who sin than I am like the people who are perfect. And so I say that to say, oftentimes we see others that look bigger than us, and we see others who have these titles and have these lifestyles that appear to be doing better or bigger, when in the essence of who we really are, we're all really just like the folks in the Bible, meaning we're all on our Moses journey, we're all sinning, we're all coming to a place of trying to figure out who the hell we are, what sense of self we have, who is our authentic self, so we can find our purpose. But I do want to say what I tell all my clients, just like Moses, when he got to the Red Sea, guess what? God parted it. And so the only thing you have to focus on is not the journey, it's the promise. Meaning when I get to the Red Sea, whenever that happens, I know one thing for sure, it parts, because no request returns void. And when Moses got there, the people said, now that we're here, what are we going to do? Moses said, I don't know. But God said, this is what we're going to do. He parted the Red Sea. Everybody walked over, and he flooded and closed the Red Sea back up. And it said they walked on dry land. What does dry land mean? It means they walked on dry land, so there's no footprints. That means when you look back to see where you came from, guess what? The land is dry. You don't see footprints. There is nothing showing you where you came from. Everything is in front of you. He closed up the Red Sea. Why? So that the folks behind you who were trying to get to you can't even cross the Red Sea. One more thing. And the Red Sea is a sea that you can't cross unless it's open and split by a higher power. Meaning once you cross, your footprints are not there. You can't look back. And guess what? You can't go back. If you do, you'll die. Because going backwards through the Red Sea is impossible. So that means that, what does that mean? That means that your journey that you're on is not for you to look at as far as it being something that is what it feels like. I always say it feels worse than it is. The thing is to focus on the promise, whatever that promise is. And for you all who are doing lifers, maybe your promise isn't a release date, and I'm just keeping it real with you. Maybe your promise is finding something in there to do that can create something outside of that can create a legacy for you once your expiration, as far as we all have an expiration, does come. And so I just want y'all to take the message as, don't focus on the journey. Focus on the fact that when you get to the Red Sea, one thing it does do is part. Just like I say Noah's Ark. All God said do was build a dang on ark and put 2 of each animals on the ark. And guess what? Obedience. He built the ark, and the ark weathered the storm. So all I'm saying is when you build your ark, it's going to weather the storm. When you get to the Red Sea, it's going to part. Your focus is the promise, not so much the journey, because the journey will sink you, but the promise to keep you going in the right direction.
2 things. A lifer, somebody who's never coming home, is the one that gave me my biggest blessing inside.
I believe
so
it.
you might be the person who's going to bless the next Andre, or the next John, or the next Stephen, or the next Sarah, whoever's going to be. It was a lifer who gave me that one last thing I was missing, or I was yet to receive. And now this is serious, because I'm upstairs. They just had an award ceremony. You got your award. I'm saying you've been recognized for being famous and fabulous and doing the work. And when I saw you and they started reading off your accolades, doctor, MTV, host, but I'm like, this sister's beautiful. And she's accomplished. And she's well-spoken and all this stuff. Then when you got up there and said, listen, I'm the first in my family to go to college. I'm the first in my family. I came up from teen parents. None of that, because we look at perception and stereotypes, I'd have never guessed you had teen parents. I'm thinking you came from a doctor home, or your parents must be doctors or lawyers or whatever, just because you have a stereotypical look in my mind of you've been successful your whole life. Somebody would see you and think that.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
And that's exactly why I always correct them, because it's important for me to say that it's not that. It's not what it wasn't what it looks like. I built it to be what it is, right? And that's what I'm talking about, that Moses journey of all I did was understand that, when I get to the Red Sea, it's going to split. It's going to split. That's all I knew. When I get there, it's going to split. Did I run into acorn trees and take a break and cry my eyes out some nights or some days and want to wonder why this is like that or why this is this way or why am I experiencing certain issues or abandonment? Of course I did. But when I kept my mind, everything's a mindset. We manifest our mindset. I'm living in my mindset. You will be living in your mindset. You're living your mindset now. And every day we live in the results of our choices. When I chose to stand back up and go broken and go confused and go dark, and I knew there's only one thing I can do is keep stepping. I don't need to see the stairwell. I just need to know that one step that's next. And I kept going. It all added up to me being able to break family pathology, dysfunctional pathologies that were there, for me being able to break a lot of different cycles of my family that didn't exist, and for me to create a lot of legacy for my family, for my father's last name, to the point where now when I do get married, my father and I always joke about this, but it's something he's very proud of. You know, my last name, his last name doesn't leave, because I've already established a brand and a legacy with the Bryant last name that now it's hyphenated at this point.
See, no.
You know?
I got married back in 2004. My ex-wife, PhD MIT, Master's Harvard, doctor, philosopher, rocket science, one of the smartest black women you're going to run into.
Powerhouse.
Brain this big, heart 10 times bigger, knowledge of loving God. Yeah. But she was like, Andre, I'm going to hyphenate my name. It's going to be hyphenated. I said, you ain't marrying me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm not doing no hyphenation.
Yeah.
She was like, what do you, no. I said, when you go to work, you can be Dr. such and such. When you come out of that building, you're my wife. What they call you at work, I'm not tripping on.
Absolutely.
But we didn't do hyphenation.
Yeah.
It was a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
She tried that. She tried. I was like, no, you, to your daddy, you always be his baby. And at work, when you go to MTV or wherever you go, your clients, they can call you doctor, whatever. But when you walk away from that and you come back to me, your last name's Norman.
Yeah. No, yeah. I don't mind my husband calling me his last name, but on documentation.
On documentation,
and for
definitely.
contract purposes and for the brand.
Oh, for the brand.
God has to be hyphenated, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, she kept the brand.
Yeah.
She was Dr. Thorne at work. She was doctor at all the places she's been. But when you come home, you don't work for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not the university, I'm none of that. I'm just a husband.
Yeah, your husband, you work for her. Now, on that note.
why you work?
See, you work for her. On that note. But I want these men to understand, too, that, you know, you can create whatever experience you want in your mind, because all of this is really just an illusion. It really is. And if you can get into that space of healthy manipulating yourself and not manipulating others, then you learn the ultimate essence of self-mastery. I always say folks, we learn how to manipulate people from young kids, and how to manipulate our parents to get what we want, how to manipulate women or men as we become older and into our mature ages of dating and so forth. But the only person you have to know how to manipulate is really your own self. And once you learn how to manipulate your own mind, to think the thoughts you need to think, to feel how you want to feel, to experience what you want to experience, game time, you have ran the place, your Super Bowl, and you have mastered yourself. The only thing you have to know how to do is govern, master, and manipulate yourself. That's it.
Before we close, I'm going to respect your time, because you told me you were short coming in on time. I'm not going to hold you hostage, because I know you're super polite, and I don't want you to be in the car like, man, that dude took advantage of my time.
Yeah.
And of me. I'm not that guy.
You did.
No, I got you. I was cool.
He took advantage of my time. Look at him.
I got you. No, on the front end. But if I keep you for like an hour, that's over the top.
Look at him.
Last thing. The sisters.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women who are going to watch this.
Yeah, wow.
And men are like, yo, I'll be a husband. Boy, you got to do a lot of work. Listen, marry a doctor is a lot of work. You got to have range. But
true.
Message for the women before we go.
Oh,
that's your closeout.
Yeah.
They're in there. They don't have their kids.
Yeah.
They've been molested. They've been beaten. Yeah. They've been shamed. Yeah. They've been told that they can't be whole again. We tell the men, put on a suit and tie, go get a haircut, get a job, you get a wife, you can be whole again. Yeah. But you've been a prostitute, or you've been through domestic violence, or you've been a drug addict. A male crackhead can bounce back. A female crackhead can never, is what we tell them. Mm-hmm. I go in and tell them, you can be whole again. It's been my message. What is your message for the women who are saying, they said, nobody will want me?
No, your message is 100% correct in the fact that they not only can be whole again, you know, you already are whole. And I always say that, listen, you are whole, you are perfect the way you are. So I always say, this is you, the sun. And we all know what an eclipse is. Trauma, drug addiction, dogma, which is what people tell you, the outside chair that gets into your mind, that screws up everything about you, that makes everything light go dark, is the eclipse. And like this is the sun, this is you, perfect and whole, happy in your joy and everything you've always wanted to be and that you were before the trauma. Watch this, trauma, drug addiction, rape, prison time. It just eclipses who you are. But like every eclipse, watch this, at some point, the eclipse moves, and you are still who you are. You are still that woman. You still got your power. You still are everything you thought you were, everything you want to be. And so for you, again, your thing is to understand, I might have been eclipsed, right? But I'm not toe up. I'm not done. This is not the end of my journey. This is not the end of who I am. And again, it all comes from within. You will always receive what you believe yourself to be. And the only person that has to have that belief in who you are is you. Is only you, because you will only always be responsible for the results of your choices. And so remember, don't allow people to create or control your narrative, because we live in the experience of our narrative, which is the self-talk that we tell ourselves. And so tips that I give my clients about the whole narrative piece, because there's women outside of prison as well who are going through, and I want y'all to know this, that are going through the same mental distorted thinking, right, in darkness that you women in there are going through. The only difference is y'all behind bars and they're behind bars in their mind. So there's no difference when it comes to a mental imprisonment, because women outside are in prison and some of y'all inside are more free mentally than the women that are outside. That's where I have a problem with. The women outside who don't have the bars, who have a mental imprisonment, who have the freedom that y'all don't, are the ones who I want to shake and say, come on, you women are behind bars. You have a reason to feel in prison. You have a reason to feel that bondage, right? Because it's really physically, externally there. But you have the power internally and mentally to say, hold on, I'm going to have this experience be what I want it to be. Whether, again, you got 5 years, 15 years, or you are a lifer, okay? You cannot speed up or slow down God's purpose or will for you. But what you can do is to learn how to, again, create the thoughts and the emotions that would generate the experience that you want to feel in the moment. And that's where the power comes in at. Because even for myself, when it goes dark, and I know this may sound like, you know, how can I say it, a woman who's out here accomplishing God, but even when I go dark, and I've gone dark, and it happens to me as well, I have to manipulate my own thoughts. I have to have my own self-talk, and I have to make things be what I said they're going to be. And I become who I said I'm going to be, regardless of who expects it, who likes it, or who doesn't. And that's my power. But you have the same power, the exact same power. So I want you to hold that close, and I want you to get used to telling and creating your narrative based on what you want it to be and what you say it is. And don't let no one take or shift that narrative, period.
And with that, we're going to close this episode of Academy of Hope. Just for my brothers and sisters behind the wall, you've been phenomenal. It is a blessing to meet you. And hold on.
Wait, no, thank you for doing this. I think that this work is, I think the work you're doing is amazing. I think that we focus so much on doing the work in the community, and this is the part that is a disparity that I don't like, and this is the gap that you're filling, is that when we say community, we look at community as being the folks that are free. But hold on, community are the folks that are also in prison.
This is my community.
That's my point. Serving the community is serving anyone who has breath.
Yes.
So I don't care if you're behind bars, outside of bars, picking somebody up, dropping somebody off at school. You are the community, especially if you're black or brown and you look like us. That's still the community.
Yes.
And we have a right as community leaders to serve in and out at the same capacity and try our best to provide equal resources, although the resources look different. So I want to applaud you for doing this, because I think this is, I don't have your face code. I don't have access.
Not yet.
What's your password?
1840.
Okay. Well, there you go.
1840.
That's a start.
I used to be in cell 40. My partner was in cell 18. And we used to have codes to let know if anything went wrong. We yell out 1840 meant come downstairs immediately. If I yelled it out, he knew to come upstairs. He yelled it, I knew to come downstairs. So that's the homie.
1840. Okay,
1840.
got it. Got it.
So I don't know where to find you.
Dr. Bryant.
I got you.
Yes. So thank you for doing this. Is amazing. I think this is awesome. I love your
I
platform.
will definitely. We have to have you back.
Yeah, I would love to. Send me this link, because I want to use, I have about 500,000 followers on my social media. A lot of them, believe it or not, you probably will believe it, are prisoners, men and women. I know because they tell me. I've sent them books. They come in my DMs, and I, have helped and had conversations. I've helped a couple lifers actually go up against the parole board and be released. And I'm very proud of that. And we're still helping more to be able to go against the parole board and get released without becoming discouraged and not go up there again. But I want them to see this. I want everyone to be able to see this on my YouTube channel.
I've been on so many interviews and so many stages, and people promise to send me the footage that you never get.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
But I want it because I know it's going to help my audience of people. It really is.
I'm gonna give it to you because
I love this.
I'm always a guy that didn't get mine. I'm like, man, I started this program, Academy of Hope, when I came home because people like me were getting blocked. The homies, oh man, if you've been a stand-up guy, been this, they're gonna block you. So I came home and created a program for people that generally got blocked from access. And now we run stuff. We are in Beverly Hills. This is our event.
I like it. You're doing your thing.
Oh, thank you.
You are definitely the man for doing this.
No.
You are. You
doctor.
need this too. They need to add your name to this.
I created the program.
There you go.